If somebody were to hang around to the very bitter end of this conversation, however long this takes us, it won't take us that long, however long it takes us, what would be the one thing that you think they would gain from listening to this conversation?
It is for me. If you decide, and once you decide where you want to be, um, you open up the gates of manifestation for it to happen. You just have to say, you have to use the power of your voice and your words. And so it is, and so it shall be. And it manifests, it unfolds in some of the most miraculous ways possible. But the first thing is to acknowledge and to stand in and to decide that this is for me. Relocating is for me, traveling is for me, being independent, having freedom.
Did relocation change you?
Everything has changed about me traveling the world. How I see people, how I see money, how I see opportunity.
What is the closing kind of thought that you want to leave with people?
If your heart is saying yes, may go along with your mind and make up your mind to say yes to, and watch your whole life change.
Hey, y'all, listen, we have the queen in the building. Okay. Like, I don't know what to tell you. She's in a car, but that doesn't matter because we have her here in the building. I don't know what you're about to do with the rest of your next hour, but you need to tune into this conversation. It's going to be legit. That said, we have the one and only Monokia is with us here today to talk to us about the bridge between work and relocation. Really, Monokia, thank you for joining us today. This is exciting.
Thank you so much, Shauna K, for being able to join you in the building.
In the building.
Somewhere in a car, but
in some building somewhere. So right off the bat, one of the things that I've been kind of leading with in these conversations is if somebody were to hang around to the very bitter end of this conversation, however long this takes us, it won't take us that long, however long it takes us, what would be the one thing that you think they would gain from listening to this conversation?
I can do it. I can do it. This
That felt
is
like a
for
hug.
me. Yeah.
No, go say. It is for the.
Okay. It is for me. If you decide, and once you decide where you want to be, um, you open up the gates of manifestation for it to happen. You just have to say, you have to use the power of your voice and your words. And so it is, and so it shall be. And it manifests, it unfolds in some of the most miraculous ways possible. But the first thing is to acknowledge and to stand in and to decide that this is for me. Relocating is for me, traveling is for me, being independent, having freedom. You have to decide, and all the things that come with that. And so, being a traveler and living abroad and juggling stateside business with international business, understanding global citizenship. It is something you have to be committed to with your full body for it to work.
So you said something so interesting. You have to, I mean, essentially you have to give it your yes. And the thing that I always find is so interesting, it's like it's already for you. You just have to agree with it, right? So when did you get into agreement with it? And maybe the follow-up to that is like, how did you know it was calling you?
Okay, so I didn't know it was calling me, right? I didn't know. I just knew there was something missing. It felt like I knew I wanted to be more, I wanted to do more. And we often teach what we need to learn the most. And so if you look at what I was teaching in that point in my life, almost 7 years, almost 8 years now ago, it was about doing more and being more in action. And I was like, man, I'm calling for the people to do more and be more, but am I doing more and being more? And I remember saying a prayer over and over again. Oh God, please allow me to work anywhere in the world I choose. And it's interesting now playing that back that I actually focused on work, which I didn't even know I was, but it was, dear God, please allow me to work anywhere in the world I choose, anywhere in the world I choose. And I promise you, I was in the bed one day and I just popped up. And I remember being like, but you're not choosing. And it was like, oh, wait a minute. And I was like, oh wow. And I couldn't figure out what that meant. I just kept being like, well, why am I choosing? What does that mean? I guess I need to choose where I want to go. And 3 days later, someone called me and asked me to do work in Thailand. And I said yes. I didn't know the stipulations. I knew that that was in alignment with me because I truly believe that if God brings you to it, He will take you through it. And it was brought to my doorstep. I woke up just days before, and it's a feeling. Being a global citizen is truly a feeling because it's not meant for everybody. But if you feel the pull, the tug to expand and not be, caught in a box or be caught inside of the matrix of what someone wants you to do and be, you will seriously realize how powerful we are and why it's important for us to expand outside of our own capacity or our own mental capacity. Because all of this time, and we can talk more about it, but the biggest thing for me that keeps showing up is that every time I say, "Oh God, I want to," God laughs at me. It's a laughter that I feel because now I don't know what to ask for because my mind has been blown. I said, God, oh, I just want to read my book, my books on the beach. And I look up and I'm on a private yacht. I'm on a private 35-person yacht by myself, reading my books. So all I'm doing is laughing, and the staff is like, "What is wrong with this lady?" And I was like, every time I said I wanted to do something, God, I just wanted to work anywhere in the world I choose. And I look up and I've been to over 18 countries, and most of which solo. And it's like how I walk through the soils of Thailand by myself, not a care in the world, not feeling afraid, or any street inside of Bali, it's just an amazing feeling. But when you have to commit to that yes. Thank you, Shonda Rhimes, for, the year of yes, starting to plant that seed. But what if your yes is just every day saying yes to yourself and walking into the possibility?
Yeah, I think of so many people, like what you just said was so much gold. And the more that I do these interviews, the more I realize this whole series is for me. Okay. like full stop and period. Even though I already live part of my life on an island and I love that life and I've been blessed to live it for the past 5 years, even though I'm already doing it and I understand and I'm curating these conversations to help set people free and to let people get into the lane of freedom, what you just said locked in something to me. The first thing you said that I can do it, I said it felt like a hug, and everything you said since has felt like confirmation and validation over and over and over. I think that one of the stigmas that I feel like, and this is like a question that I have for you, and we're going to circle back to so many things, but one of the stigmas I think is that when people feel like they need more vacation, right? Or they get to a place and they start looking up the real estate, they automatically invalidate that need as frivolity. They're like, oh, that's frivolous. I can't do that. I can't, whatever. If you were talking to somebody directly that said, listen, I keep thinking about this place. I keep, wanting to go to this place, or I went and I don't feel like I want to leave, but my friends, my family, my kids, my this, my thing, because that's always the excuses on repeat, right? What would you say to them?
What if you were the cycle breaker? What if you are the anomaly? What if you are the answer prayers? Of all the things that we say, I am my ancestor. What if you are your ancestors' wildest dreams? My eldest mother just passed last December at 107 years old. And I say my eldest mother because if you know me, I like to talk about this because I was born with seven mothers. Do all the math, right? Grandmothers, great grandmothers. I have them, thank God, them all. And when people, the idea of what if I was my ancestors' wildest dreams, I chuckled a little bit because most people don't have a great grandmother, let alone two. And to be able to see them and to say, yes, baby, you are doing it. You are doing the damn thing. Keep going. Don't listen to them people. Do whatever you want to do. It's something special and healing about that because psychologically we've been told what not to do. Because my dad was like, I wanted to go to college in New York. Ended up going to Morgan State in Baltimore. I'm from Baltimore. And my dad was like, no, that's too far. But his grandmother told me, no, baby, you go and do whatever. Because somehow in that transition from my great grandmother to my grandmother to my father, the spirit of fear lives there. No, don't go too far. Uh, when I first became an entrepreneur, my dad would call me every week. Monokia, you still have your house? You still have your car? He could not believe. And even still, up until maybe last year, I called my dad as a consultant. My dad's a consultant, a corporate consultant. I was like, hey, I need you to come work for me for a weekend. And he's like, what? Gave me all these stipulations about what to pay him. I was like, yep, I'm gonna pay it too. He was like, and I need a hotel and I'm gonna pay it. So I was exciting to do that. But having him to walk into my multi-million dollar business and comb through my financials and look at my structure and my systems from a corporate perspective, gained a whole new level of respect for not only for me, but for himself and what he's been trying to teach. So when you have your friends and your family and your mother and friends or whoever that don't understand, they don't understand yet. Is not for them to understand yet, because you are the waymaker. You are creating a path and a blueprint that has never been seen, never been done. And so I literally was talking about this maybe 10 minutes before I talked to you, that when there's no blueprint, there's a lot of heartache and headache that comes along with it. But when you know that you know that you know, you're supposed to just do. And all of the pieces typically fall right into place. So, to the person that feels like there is no support, you ain't gonna have no support. They don't know how to give you support. If they've never been there before, they don't know. I called my grandmother. I said, I'm calling you from the coast of Africa again. Because I called her when I was in Ghana. And I called her, they call them the castles from the dungeons. And then I called her again when I was in Morocco. And she could not believe it. You're still in Africa. I am. And that means we are in Africa. And so you will get to lead your family living abroad or, bi-coastal, living in two places. You get to lead that charge. And so I say, do it. Do it if you feel it and know they're not going to understand.
No. It's so interesting. You said something about your dad that I loved, and I wanted to kind of highlight this for a second. You said that you brought your dad into a multi-million dollar infrastructure that you've created. You've built this business. How long have you been running your own company?
I've been running my own company, so happy now. 20 years, in a different in different facets, and so ultimately, my company, my larger company, my hub is a creative hub of consultancy, and so I manage multiple businesses under my consultancy, whether in a partnership of a co-CEO or in a retainer position as a consultant. Yeah, so it kind of depends on the business, but for over 20 years, I've been very, very grateful to be able to help first generation entrepreneurs increase their influence and income. And as I travel, it becomes more and more and more. Being a person, I didn't think it was important to teach branding and marketing. I spent the first part in corporate, working for very, very large companies in business management and structure, client retention, acquisition. And I took that and decided, hey, if I'm making you guys $5 million, how much money can I make for myself? And I said, God, I just want to make $1 million. And yet again, God laughed at me and was like, girl, that's real cute.
That's so cute.
Yeah,
Your little
that's so
goals.
cute.
So
Um,
cute.
yeah, and because I didn't know, you don't know what $1 million feels like. And I had the pleasure of meeting a woman by the name of Lisa Nichols, who changed my life. And Lisa helped me to organize those thoughts of being a giant in an apartment building. And I'm sure someone's watching this right now feel like that. You don't quite fit in, or the elephant in the room. You don't quite fit into these spaces because your dreams and aspirations are so large. And being a melanated woman, being a brown woman, we don't have a lot of close proximity to what wealth looks like, what success looks like. We don't have a lot of close proximity. And so oftentimes we don't know, but I thank God for Lisa showing up in my life when she did, to be able to say, there's nothing I need to teach you about your gift, but I will teach you how to organize. And I will teach you how to never, ever, ever sell yourself short. And I wasn't charging my worth. That's what it really came down to. Um, I created such a large community. It was a very, very Pyrrhic victory because I was making no money inside of creating a movement. But when I met her, everything changed for me in that moment. And so, yes, I brought my father to Atlanta. I'm currently in Atlanta in the moment. I have a salon system. I franchise salons uh, here in Atlanta. And we have a huge 7,000 square foot warehouse that houses our products. And so it's a number one natural hair care conglomerate in the country by the name of Shaylocks. No one has more natural hair studios with a product line aligned with the actual natural hair care school than I do. And so I'm very, very grateful for partnership, but it being able to uh, it's would say lift as we climb, right? So those people that are seeing us do these miraculous things, move and grow, we get to pull them along with us. And so to be able to bring my dad into this business and ask him for a business perspective and try to be serious about it, I'm grateful because he saved me so much money. Um, and I had to approach it, in a different perspective. Because at first he did, do you still have your house? You still have your car? I've been living in Bali now 5 years. The last 2 years or so back and more in the States, but back and forth, still maintaining my residence in Bali. But this is what comes with being an American and even understanding what that passport means, living
Keep
abroad.
your passport, okay? Don't you go live somewhere else. Let me enter that right here. You go ahead and you renew that United States of America passport, okay? You
Mhm.
keep that thing going. I'm sorry, I just felt that that was a good place to,
Yeah,
to drop
no, but
that in.
some people being Americans, well, let me not say that. Being, in my experience with being a Black woman in America,
Mhm.
that's a whole conversation. Um, our perspective is different because when I first go to other places, the first thing I am is American.
100%. You
The
are the
first,
second person that has said that. 100%.
yeah. When here in America, you Black, then you a woman, then you may be an American, but you're first Black. That's the very first thing here. But in traveling the world, the first thing I am is American. And it does change perspective because America is one of the richest nations in the world. We're still up there somewhere. And people look at the global perspective of America, where being a Black person in America, it's very different. And how we're received by people, by each other. And so being an American, traveling and realizing what that can do for us globally,
Mhm.
we should move.
We should move.
And yeah.
No, go ahead. Finish, because I wanna ask a question about
Um,
your work.
and I was going to say, not just physically, meaning like to get away, move, but we should make more moves overall when we're talking about investing, global properties, even vacation homes or global businesses and investments. We really should be moving and exercising that American that we are.
I love that. No, I love that you said that, and it's so true. It is so true that you are American first, and whatever the country that you're in thinks about America, that is where you are first. So just know that. So here's the thing about work. And the reason why this series is not just relocation, it is because legitimately, every time somebody says to me, "Oh, I wish I could do this thing that you do where you go live out of the country part of the year." I haven't fully moved anywhere just yet, but I've been doing the back and forth for 5 years, right? And really just to Barbados. I got off the plane, I knew it was home. I don't need to I didn't need to second guess that, right?
Come outside.
Oh,
Come
Y
outside.
yeah, no, yeah. That said, though, the number one thing that people say to me is, "Oh, either you're so lucky or I wish I could do that, but my work, but my job, but my thing." You are somebody that I have watched over the course of the years, even from a distance on social, right? Like, just I've watched you meld your work and your relocation in a way that very few people can. There's a lot of options about income and the thing, but you've done it in such a way that it's really remarkable. How did you start that mixture of melding the relocation and the work?
Um, do. And I'll say this because I didn't have it all figured out, right? When I started to tell you how I got abroad was someone inviting me to coach them in their business, but the business was abroad. And so I met this person in DC at a workshop, and she just remembered who I was. I share that with you to say one of my favorite sayings that I heard many, many years ago of can't nobody do it like you do it when you do what you do. And I didn't have a plan, and I don't have all the answers for persons that want to travel abroad and work. But I will tell you this, you are your greatest asset. When I first moved to Thailand, I was coaching one person, um, and that person was in Thailand, learning how to make money in the travel industry. And while staying there in Thailand, I decided I wanted to move there. And I ended up actually being a guest lecturer at Chiang Mai University, teaching marketing and branding in English. I didn't speak any Thai. But because of who I am and what I was doing at that time and networking, remember people always talk about your network really your net worth really is your net work. Who do you know? You never know the position or places you will be in just because you are the right person that knows the right person. And so that opened a gateway for me to do that. And being there, and people started seeing I'm traveling, started asking me, do I mind hosting other retreats? And I'm like, sure. And people invited me to co host their retreats. And I ended up in Cuba and I ended up in Mexico. And I was not flying myself, but I had to commit to what you said earlier, that yes. And so sometimes you have to just go ahead and move and be afraid and see what happens. I make more money today traveling the world globally, helping people all across the world than I did being in Baltimore running a 250,000 membership organization that I did for 17 years.
No, but that's amazing as a story. And so what I hear in that is if we were to like drill that down to make it quote unquote advice, follow the breadcrumbs. Something shows up and that is in the direction of the yes that you have given inside of yourself. You follow the breadcrumb. You take the next step that seems correct for you. So here's like the next thing. Did relocation change you?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We see life differently. And I say we because I'm not the only person this happens to. There is an epiphany, there is an enlightening moment that happens because outside of my norms, living in America from an urban city and going to places where my neighbors don't speak my language but bring me food every day. They don't speak my language, but they want to teach me how to ride a bike and utilize the transportation and check on me and write notes and try to talk to me or going to different places and people just want to sit. Oh, can I sit next to you? And don't even talk. I just want to be able to sit next to you just for safety. Looking out for each other is different. We've always talked about community, and I love Black people. We have the most amazing reunions and cookouts ever, but imagine the cookout in a country where it's only 100 of you and you all you got. And there's nobody that can get to you for 30 hours. That's what happens to me in Bali is that you don't have a friend or family member for 30 hours on an airplane away. You create a new sense of community and trust within yourself. You learned how to utilize your spirit of discernment. You grow in your spirituality and knowing that God is leading you. So everything has changed about me traveling the world. How I see people, how I see money, how I see opportunity. It's it's an open, floodgates. And this is why travelers are dangerous. Travelers are dangerous because their mental capacity is different than anything that you have ever met, being someone that has never left their home state.
Yeah. No, and that's well said. You know, when I think about it, you said you're from Baltimore. You know, I am too. Also went to Morgan. I didn't know you went to Morgan, but shout out to Morgan State University. Um, and there are people in the city of Baltimore that not even the state of Maryland, the city of Baltimore that have never gone from the east side to the west side or vice versa. They have literally lived in their one neighborhood their entire lives. I was driving through actually the county where my mother still lives. Um, and I saw some folks walking down the street, and I was just in this space of just considering humanity, right? And so as I'm watching them walk down the street and run to try to catch a bus that they ultimately missed, my mind just kind of went, man, I wonder if this is their best. You know what I mean? Like, is this their best? And then the next part to that is like, have they ever been exposed to more than this 5 mile radius to know whether or not this could be their best? Is there some other option, some other opportunity that they just wouldn't know about because nobody has showed them or exposed them? I find that while the internet exists, and I'm going to get off my soapbox about this, but while the internet exists, it's the way that we use the internet that makes the difference. If we are using it to escape reality, that's going to create one level and version of life versus using it to inspire our reality, which is something entirely
Yes.
different, right? So, okay, all right. So here we are inspiring the internet to a new
Yes,
reality.
absolutely. A new
Um,
reality.
yeah,
The new reality
new reality.
is that those same people that have not been exposed outside of those four walls are genius, are genius. Anywhere outside of Baltimore, Maryland, the US, scientists, amazing architects and dancers and creators, you would not believe how people just want to learn the American way. A lot of people traveling and they do teaching. That's one of the easier jobs to get is to teach English abroad, but there's so many other abroad remote jobs now. But that was like the main thing when I first started traveling. Everyone wants to teach English. And when you realize it's not just English in the sense of, ABC, one, two, three. It's like conversational English. This is why I was able to teach marketing in that way. They want to have conversations, and you would think that that's nothing, but traveling abroad, that could be your whole career. Being a translator or being a consultant, like so many doorways can open, but you won't know until you actually go. This is what happens to a lot of travelers like yourself. You go to a place and be like, I'll fall in love. Go to the place you've always wanted to go. Go and try it and talk to the people and talk to the local expats that live there. Because there is a difference. I lived in Colombia for a little while. I've lived in Thailand. I live in Bali. Those are the places that I live. But traveling through, Malaysia or the Thai islands, or I don't know, do London or Paris, which I would never live, but traveling through those places, it's the same conversation over and over and over again. The conversation is about our lifestyle.
Well, tell me
We're the
about
biggest
that.
asset. Yeah.
So, but okay, right. So the American lifestyle is one thing. So let's talk really quickly about how that shifts, because there's a truth that once you leave the United States for any period of time, something about your lifestyle does in fact shift. We have an immediacy
Yes.
here that we kind of overlook. You can order an Amazon package in the morning and get it in the afternoon, right? That's just not a
Mm-hmm.
thing in other places. And my second home is a little baby island off on down by the side of the Caribbean, around the
Mm-hmm.
corner and up the street and down 3
hmm
blocks. Like legit.
Life is
She
different and
It's
great.
different. It's great. We love her. I have no notes. But there's an adjustment that has to be made in
Yes.
order to become more of that global citizen. Where have you, and I know that you settled in Thailand. Is there anywhere else that's like your favorite place, but you just wouldn't live there because the challenge of that translation between some
Mhm.
of that American adaptation versus like living there?
I don't know. So I currently live in Thailand is my favorite place. I currently live in Bali. I would love to relocate to Thailand. Um, but the time difference is what really bothers me still running a stateside business. Place that I love, but I would not live. Um, no, like I want to live in Morocco so bad.
Oh
That's
my gosh, Morocco is so beautiful. So I have a plan.
I'm ready. I'm ready
Yeah, Morocco is
for
beautiful.
Morocco. Very, very beautiful, and I love it there. Um,
And really the motivation behind my question, I only have like one or two more questions, I promise. But the motivation behind my question is really because people struggle to make the distinction between relocation and vacation. And so then you see what I'm saying? So there's a place that you want to go and be, but just because you don't want to stay there forever doesn't mean you don't have a desire for relocation. That's just not your place. That's a vacation place. And that's like a fine thing.
that happens to me often. People will come to my house and be like, "You live on vacation," because Bali I mean, it is one of the best vacations in the world. But on the flip side, so even speaking of that, of why I want to actually leave Bali and move, is that the roads now are so congested with tourism. The money has changed. There was a time I lived in Bali during COVID, where the prices, you can understand the prices, but now it's ridiculous. To have someone to drive for a full day would be one price. I won't state the price because people go crazy, but it will be one price. But literally now today it's four times that amount, which is crazy. But that's what happens with like tourism. So living in places of high tourism, it is hard. You want to be there, and it feels good. And me and my girls that live there, we have a blast, a good time. So you can decide to be in the mix of tourists or outside of the mix. And I live in the jungle, so it's always beautiful. I wake up to birds in the morning. It's always nice. But getting on the main road and just trying to go have lunch is a issue now, which is part of the reason why I want to live. And so you do have to decide your different comforts. But I think a part of it is understanding the whole entire culture of wherever you're moving, and understanding the culture from a perspective of the people and how they live. And so one of the amenities that I get a lot people ask is around like housing. Like I have a housekeeper. I don't wash clothes or I don't clean. That's actually normal in most parts of the world. In Africa, there's a houseboy or a house girl, and there's like this is normal. Only in America Are we washing and folding? And that is a bad thing, but everybody has a job. And you let the experts do what the experts do, type of deal. But in America, we have so many jobs, and our capacity is limited, where everyone kind of works together. People live in family compounds. And so I say learn the culture wherever you want to go first. So go and visit and learn the culture outside of the tourism. But places I wouldn't live, I would not want to move to another heavy tourist city. I like culture and people.
Yeah, like culture and people. Okay, so this has been really great and really helpful. I know for people, I think that you've actually alluded to a few things that are important. Not everybody moves to every place for the same reason. Relocation is like the broad vehicle, but there are smaller aspects that you need to consider. The same way that you said you would never go live in London or Paris. You visit, but not live, right? Like that's not the place where you want to go. And you're now saying that now that you've done kind of high touristy Bali, you wouldn't necessarily want to do it. I was kind of saying the other day that, I have stayed pretty much always on the south coast of Barbados, which has been great. However, when I purchase property in Barbados, which is not far from me, I want to purchase inland so that I'm looking like out over the ridge of the countryside kind of a thing.
Hmm.
Because I don't want to
Yes.
be down by the tourists. I want to select when I'm down by the tourists because I'm
Yes.
not a tourist no more. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. 5 years makes me not a tourist. Amen.
Right.
Because also sometimes my Bayesian accent comes out, and that's a whole different that's a whole different ball of wax. Okay, so as we're kind of wrapping it up, I really want to thank you for engaging in what I call an uncultured conversation. It's not just because of the culture of the places, but because we're going after this version of life that is uncommon. It is something that not enough people are challenging themselves to. And for me, that is a little bit bonkers because the data says that everybody that's hanging out and just staying in the same stuff is miserable. Anxiety prescriptions are up, depression is on the rise, people hate their jobs, that we can document that. And so if you hate your job, you hate your life, and you're like, oh, let's just keep everything the same. That to me has a little bit of crazy sprinkled on it. And I'm here to
Yes.
come and disrupt some of that. So thank you for engaging in this uncultured conversation. What is the closing kind of thought that you want to leave with people who are secretly suppressing that dissatisfaction with their lives, with their jobs, with their husbands, with their wives, with their whatevers, but they're just like, it's fine. Nobody's happy. It's fine. What would you say to them about how relocation can play into that?
I think that oftentimes we want change, but we don't want to be the villain. And so we want change to be easy, and we want change to feel good and to look pretty. I'm gonna wait till I have this amount of money. I'm gonna wait till the kids are this age. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. And the reality is that we all don't get that time to actually wait. What if now is the time to make the shift and make the adjustment? I say that because I packed up my whole house and I moved, and I didn't know a soul. And it changed my whole life. And when it changed my whole life, it changed my family's whole life, because now my nieces don't think about birthday parties at Chuck E. Cheese or bouncing zones. Baby, they're talking about birthday parties at 9 years old. I want to come to your house on the beach. I want to get on an airplane. And that's important because we are the ones that are actually behind. So that feeling of change and being uncultured and doing more and being more and living abroad and working abroad and creating international income, it's calling you for a reason. It does not call everyone. And so if you are looking and seeking for it, it is time for you to move. And your move may be uncomfortable. Your move may go against everything that you have been taught or learned, or your parents' morals or values. My parents still have not been to my house in Bali, and I've been there for 5 years. But it doesn't stop anything, because it still grows the capacity of the community. My parents still have traveled more in this last couple of years than they've ever traveled, because they're no longer afraid. What if you are supposed to go ahead and jump and grow your wings on the way down? That's what happens to a lot of us that are doing things that have never been done, or things we have never seen. So, yes, maybe it has been done. You're watching me, you're watching Shauna, and we are doing some of these things, but in your family, in your circle, in your community, you are not. And so you realize that you are a walking anomaly. You are a creature, not the creature of habit, but you are a creature unlike the rest. And so I say, do it. What if you're supposed to fail forward? You have to believe. And I always say invest at your level of belief. And your investment is a mind, body, spirit. Along my journey, it has been more a spiritual journey than anything else. Everything else has kind of like come to me. And it's like, how did I get here? But once you are spiritually aligned, it does really become a flow into your yes. Your yes is very much fluid. I look up and it started when I was in that apartment building 7 years ago, and I was like, what am I doing? And I wouldn't do things until I needed it. Some entrepreneurs understand that. It's like, I pay my bills this month. Entrepreneurship, you make $10,000 one day and negative $10 the next day. So you start doing stuff and you can tell who's on that run for the end of the month. But I remember just having those ups and downs and being like, what am I doing? And if I leave this, will I be able to have that? And so I'll share this last piece. If God told you to give up everything that you have now to have everything that your heart desires, would you say yes? And at that time for me, it was a absolute yes. I would give up everything that I had, and I did. I gave up my organization. I have my friends. I don't talk to any of most of the same friends anymore. The community, business relationships, so many things have changed since that time. And what I thought was going to be my legacy, God told me was only school. So that's how limiting our beliefs can be and can hold us back. What I thought was going to be my legacy, it really was. It was like, oh, that was cute. And I thought, and even to so many other people, it's like the biggest thing. But what is coming now and next, and being able to meet women, being able to be a walking inspiration. I thank God daily that I'm able to tell women, yes, you can. Yes, you can live abroad. Yes, you can live abroad alone. Yes, you can be happy. Yes, you can live in joy. Yes, every day you can put yourself first. Yes, self care is important and you can still make money in doing it. Yes, people will receive you for being yourself. I'm a Baltimore girl, and there's a certain things that come with being with Baltimore and how we speak and how we dress and how we talk and going into other communities, you know, seeing them so in awe of what is normal is the blessing. What is our normal every single day is genius, is revolutionary, is iconic in so many other places, but we don't know until we move. And so I say to anyone that is watching this, if your heart is saying yes, may go along with your mind and make up your mind to say yes to, and watch your whole life change.
That's beautiful, beautifully said. I heard somebody say the other day that there's a difference between a decision and a choice. The decision, you burn the bridge. There's no going back. You just do it. There's no going back. So I love that. Monokia, wow. Wow. This was great. I really appreciate you for being here. This has been an amazing and transformational conversation. Y'all click them links that's below in the description and get her stuff because y'all already know she's about it. All right. Amen and amen.